What is something wrongfully accepted by society? Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. Thanks. Letting bad people off the hook because of how rich they are or social status. Disabled people living in extreme poverty levels on public government disability checks by government. Diabolically bad healthcare systems driven based on the profit motive. Child beauty contests. Funeral costs. A lot of the time a male student being taken advantage of by a female teacher is met with responses of lucky kid or similar. Worshipping money and profit. The comfort of workers comes second to profit. The needs of the many come second to the profits of a few. The lives and deaths of people come second to profit. 9-to-5 career-oriented lifestyle. People with no experience in the job they work at becoming managers and supervisors bossing the people with the experience around, all the while not having a clue how it all works. Prison rape. Too many people make light of it. Your uninformed opinion is just as valid as my scientific proof. SSDI, or Social Security Disability Insurance, limits anyone receiving it to having no more than $2,000 in assets with some exceptions. It is, effectively, using the government to keep disabled people in poverty. America loves for the army but pure ignorance to the high rates of homeless veterans suffering from mental disorders. Lower skilled jobs that don't allow people to make a living. If society needs them, then people should be able to make a living from doing it. That handing all your data to some company to put on its own servers then charge you for access is somehow a good idea. Letting a group of 535 mostly wealthy men and women who we will probably never meet make all the important decisions for us. Greedy pharmaceutical companies. Racism against whites and Asians. That the rich and famous are somehow better and superior than so-called normal people. Binge drinking. Being overweight. People faking mental disorders. Insurance. A lot of the time you're forced to have it. There's no cap on what they can charge you monthly. You then have to pay again when it's actually needed, and then there's no guarantee they'll cover anything. 5 days of work, 8 hours plus travel, and 2 days off. Someone believes this by faith, and therefore it's sacred and can't be questioned or criticized. The way society undervalues food service workers. I work 70-hour weeks and have had 1 day off in the past month as a general manager for a restaurant. I'm on salary, and my pay is trash, but I love my staff so much. The amount of disrespect coming from entitled customers just because we're in a service industry is insane. The amount of grown men yelling at 16-year-old kids for us being out of an ingredient that we clearly don't have the staff to prep is so baffling. Child marriages. It's still legal within 43 states of the US, the way a lot of society isn't designed for disabled people. Allowing farm animals to live their entire existences in mechanized hellscapes that treat them like objects. These beings are as smart as the dogs or small children we love, and society just disincentives thinking or talking about the realities of factory farming so we can continue to enjoy cheap meat. And tax churches harboring child rapists. Short sentences for rapist and sexual assaulters. The fact America allows the two-party system, we should get more parties. Circumcision. Sexism against men doesn't count. Letting kids decide if they are trans. I know this sounds wrong at first, but I'm talking about kids under 14. It's crazy how young these kids are, saying they're trans when they don't even know what it means. They just think it's a trend and are trying to fit in. People accept it too. Fat positivity, normalizing obesity. Child beauty pageants. They're pedophilia with extra steps. Circumcision. It's genital mutilation on a global scale, powered by inertia, ignorance, and hospital profits. Circumcision. Interns not getting paid. Sexual assault on men in the workplace. Like butt slaps. It's gross and people need to stop. Factory farming. In a generation or two, we will look back in horror at what we ignored. At this point, the killing and removal of native plants and animals for any human purpose. You have to pay fat interest on a loan, but you literally loan your bank all your money every month. For hardly any interest. Everyone does it. People making inappropriate comments about kids. X. Oh, is she your boy girlfriend? When they're like 4 and just playing with toys, having children to save a relationship. My sister had a shitty relationship. Neither of them actually loved each other, and we all knew. When they had their first child, we all thought it was by accident. When they had their second child, we assumed they wouldn't make the same stupid mistake of properly using contraceptives. When they had their third, literally 1 year later, we knew their life was going to shit. They would start asking for more help, even though they were given plenty of help from me and my mom. Later, on their second child's birthday, I needed to call the cops on my sister and her boyfriend because they were about to get physical in front of their kids. Her boyfriend got arrested, and I took her kids into my mother's home. Literally, in the second week of her living with my mom, she tells me, in full honesty, that she had her kids to hopefully fix her relationship with her boyfriend. I always hated her, but now I feel absolutely no sympathy for her. I can't wait to be rid of her bullshit when I leave and never speak to any of them ever again. It's one thing to have an accidental pregnancy, but it's worse when you have a child to simply fix your own bullshit. The entire American healthcare system. Redlining. Anti-transgender laws. Ignoring the high male suicide rates and mental health crisis. Banning books from schools. Banning the teaching of CRT. Billionaires and poverty. Social media. In Western society, at least, extroverts are given precedence. But it's the opposite in Eastern society, that the media is only biased and corrupt if it's the opposite side of the political spectrum than you subscribe to. All major media outlets from far left to far right and everything in between is extremely corrupt and will blatantly lie to you to push their agenda and narrative. If you ask a Republican, CNN is the bad guy. If you ask a Democrat, Fox is the bad guy. If you ask an independent, they'll tell you they're all the bad guys. Tax exemption for churches. Glorifying workaholics. Killing billions of animals a year for pleasure. Teen moms. Like, I'm not saying we should scarlet letter them or anything, but abortion should definitely be seen as the logical and responsible action. Like, no one's letting 14-year-olds adopt babies for a reason. That alcohol is not far more dangerous and destructive than marijuana. Allowing children too young to even drink or fully understand colors to chop off parts of their bodies and take hormones messing them up. Hole-punching cervixes biopsy without any pain management or numbing. The lack of help for the mentally ill. I mean, from anxiety to depression to psychosis to schizoaffective disorders. Fox News. Unchecked predatory capitalism. Physically and or sexually abusing men. I haven't seen this very much in most civilized society, but on the West Coast, most crime is accepted, with no regard to who it affects whatsoever. Children having direct access to porn websites. Deadbeat dads facing no social consequences for abandoning their children. Politicians who lie and line their pockets. We don't seem to care or want to do anything about it. That any man that isn't interested in a woman making an advance is basically gay, or not a man. I'm not saying the internet thinks this way, but man, does it happen a lot in real life. It's stupid. I was called a little boy by some girl I voiced my uninterest in when she approached me. She said it in a different language so she didn't know I could understand her. Then a rumor went around that I was gay. Girls would say they would imagine me with a guy in front of me. It's so fucking stupid. Capitalism. Gender dysphoria. Reddit. Porn. Social media. Large amounts of caffeine from energy drinks not being considered a mind-altering substance. Working to live. Ever been to a middle ground or lower old folks' home? You pay 1 to 4K per month, and you get a bed in a barracks, people screaming in the hallways, very little help with peri-care, inconsistent assistance with anything really, and no sleep due to the noise. My dad had to go to one to recoup after being in an induced coma for almost 2 months, and it was one of the most horrible experiences I have had simply being there. That age 18 is somehow a magic age of ascending to adulthood. And that youth should be both sheltered from anything controversial until then and be instantly ready to have an informed, critical opinion and be ready to act as an educated citizen the minute the clock strikes 12. Allowing the rich to avoid paying taxes, but spending most of the time ensuring the poor pay every single penny they owe to the point of putting them in jail. Racism. Electoral college. 2,000-year-old fairy tales we call religion. Keeping contact with abusive family simply because they're family. Religions. I expect so many downvotes for this. Female empowerment. Nothing empowering in giving up your bodies to men by the dozens, working for a corporation, offering your nude self for a monthly subscription, or covering your body in tattoos and piercings. Hookup culture leaves you emotionally broken. Working for a corporation leaves you miserable. All the social validation only makes a worthwhile relationship impossible because no one person will ever equate to the mountain of faceless compliments you could get that easily. Women have willingly given up their true empowerment, letting some schmuck work their lives away to support you and a few kids that you mold into your dream for the future for the empowerment of a castrated male. You have been sold a horrible bill of goods. The fallout around us all is not your fault, but it is here no matter how hard we all try to clean this up. Your fellow women are not helping when they consider abortions and false assault allegations to also be empowering, and make it impossible for true change to take place since men run for the hills to protect themselves now. I'm sorry. I'm a married man of 18 years to a traditional woman. We make this work. She's the most empowered woman I know, my own mother included. She's completely empowered through her femininity. So many women will never know what that means, and that worries me. Wish more women would realize how bad this world is for them, and that the movement that claimed to grant them power has actually weakened them in so many ways. Go ahead, downvote this to oblivion. I'm just answering the question. Shaming lonely, ugly, awkward men. The term toxic masculinity. Masculinity is not toxic. Abusive people are toxic. Taxes, alcohol drinking. I like a drink or two, but we've accepted poisoning our bodies as something normal. PPL say they live healthy lifestyles but drink every week. Drinking should only be maybe once a month or even once every 2 months. We've created a culture where not drinking is frowned upon. Poverty as a sign of moral failing. Reddit. The most important position in a country is obtained by popularity vote and not by skills. Corruption. That all homeless either want to be, are addicts and alcoholics, or too lazy to get a job. Infant circumcision. That it is fine to have billionaires. There should be a limit to a net worth of a person. Poor and rich are the two sides of same coin. There cannot exist poor without rich. So if we limit the rich, eventually poor will be elevated. Landlords. People who hoard housing during a housing crisis should be stoned, not celebrated. Man and women separate. Women doesn't let man see their kids. Apparently that's normal and fine according to most movies and society. Eating coleslaw. It belongs in the trash. I feel like most of our problems can be boiled down to profits and GT people. Kids being gunned down at school. Black people being murdered by police. Rich people paying zero taxes. The wealthiest country in the world is the only developed country with no universal health care.